Hi, this is Cindy and Destiny with Keep It Real Podcast, and we're so excited to be here today with NWA's Daisy Kill. How are you today?
I'm doing really good, Ariel.
We're doing pretty good, pretty good. Um,
Yeah.
if you hear a delay or anything, our internet seems like it's bouncing on us. So,
Hmm. Oh, no, it seems good. Yeah.
is it good on your end?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being our first podcast back for it's been a couple of months since we've done one.
Yeah.
So, greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Mhm.
So, my first big question. Well, for other people that might not know who you are,
Mhm.
if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, tell them, why you do what you do.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So my name is Daisy Kill with the NWA. Um, do what I do because it's a lot of fun, to be honest. Getting to beat people up and cheered or booed for it's a great time, good time. Good time. But I've been doing some kind of form of wrestling or combat sports since I was about 4 years old. So then as I got older and had the opportunity to get into it, it just made a lot of sense, and it's been a lot of fun all the way up.
So, what was the reason you chose wrestling?
Um, I had an opportunity to, right? So I didn't know that there was much of an independent scene, or things outside of the big TV companies that I grew up on. And I was in Chicago at the time. I'd been living there about 15 years total, and I'd done the Golden Gloves, and I just finished the Golden Gloves. I won that year. It was a lot of fun. And some fella grabbed the back of my arm. He's like, "Hey, kid, you got like a really good look." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, thanks, man." He's like, "Oh, well, you make the money and stuff. Yeah, I do this pro wrestling thing." I was like, "Oh, and it's kind of." I didn't really get it at first, and I was like, "Well, thank you, that's where I appreciate it." And then one of my buddies knew who the fellow was. It was superstar Steve Boz out of Chicago, who is a really great wrestler. He's been around a long time, and he has a really great program there in Chicago and a great infrastructure and community. So my buddy knew who he was, and he said, "No, no, come on, let's go train with him." So I went back over and talked, and he offered to train us for free in the mornings and stuff because I was boxing and doing other things in the evening. So I gave it a try for about 2 months and went and did my first match. And I came back from like the curtains from the first match, and I just couldn't stop smiling. I was just like, "Oh my God, that was so much fun." Like I was just like, I was, and it was still very physically difficult and stuff, but it was just like, it was just a lot of fun. And I don't want to say the word easy because I don't feel like that does what we do justice all the time, but it felt very natural and it felt easy. It was still difficult to do, but it felt easy to do it, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. So you didn't have any plans on it on
I didn't
wrestling.
know I didn't know that you could really, right? Like, because I grew up in the 90s and stuff, and my mom watched wrestling in the 80s and 70s, and she would tell me about her tag team she liked, like the Killer Bees and this and that. And my granddad grew up watching Florida Championship Wrestling, and he loved the Briscoes. So it's something that we just always watched. My brothers and I always had it on, especially in the 90s, because you got WCW and WWE and all that on TV. And I'm not going to pretend like we were watching ECW at the time. We weren't that cool, we were kids. But just having a lot of options was cool. So I just grew up with it, and I never knew there was like the pipeline. It just never even occurred to me to try to pursue it, I guess. I just never know how you would. It was just one of those things. I was like, I don't know. They just picked pro wrestlers off the pro wrestler tree. I never thought about it until that fella kind of grabbed my arm, and I saw that there was this way to do it. And so once I got to do it, I was like, oh man, I just want to keep doing this. I didn't know right off the bat that it was going to take me farther and farther over the next few years and end up making some good money and a lot of really good friends and experiences. All I knew is I wanted to do it. I was like, no, this is really cool. Even if it was something like a weekend softball league or something, I was like, it's just awesome to do. It's fun. The community was really interesting as far as like I've always been a fan, and I went to like one or two shows of the TV tape shows as a kid. You go to like Raw or something when it came through town, way in the back, but seeing like a local independent show was just so immersive and back and forth. I always compare it to like maybe like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or something. It's just so involved, and callbacks, and there's not many other. shows where you can go and you can be negative, you can boo and talk smack, and then like look out, you see like this little girl in the front row, just like, get him, yeah, rip his head off, and you get so excited when you see other people get so excited, yeah, and you're just like, and it's like, oh, this is just fun. I want to be part of it, and I've been really lucky that the industry has wanted me to be a part of it because I haven't had like much resistance. I've been really lucky in that when I did show interest and start to get around and get the rounds, people were like, "Hey, yeah, no, 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 you look like you should be doing this. Come here." I was like, oh, "Okay, yeah, great," So it's been really lucky.
It's like the wrestling gods just came and chose you.
Yeah, so I was like, "Sweet," I'm happy about that. And then folks, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just kind of one of the looks things. Folks are always like, "You look like Raven or Pillman or this or that or something." There's like seven different long hair blonde wrestlers they'll compare me to. I'm like, well, I guess I just got that default character look, so it helps out.
So, how did you come up with your current persona, like the rock star persona?
Hmm. That was a lot of help from Dr. Tom Pritchard. At least at the start, I was working under a hood for the first about 4.5, 5 years, and I had a lot of success under the mask character that I was doing there in Chicago. It was pretty good. It was a really fun character, a little bit more comedy, and I initially donned the mask number one to kind of get a sense of the industry at first, and also, I needed to put on a lot of weight at first. I was coming from the world of competitive fighting where you're constantly sucking yourself down as small, as skinny and small as you can get to make these weight classes. So then I came into wrestling, and that same fellow who grabbed me, he's like, "Hey, I need you to put on like 60, 65 pounds." I was like, "Okay." Well, in the meantime, it'll be a little sloppy as I put that on. So, some masks and some gimmicks kind of helped at least make me feel a little bit better about it. And then Dr. Tom Pritchard saw me in Wisconsin. There was a seminar up there, and I saw he was going. I was like, "Oh, I'll go for Dr. Tom." And I went, and he saw my mask gimmick and all that, and he came over and he talked to me for a minute. And I thought it was really good. I thought it made a great impression. And then about a month later, I was in Florida, and there was a wrestler there. He's on NXT now. I think his name is Stax right now on NXT, or like Shannon Lonzo. He's part of like that kind of like mafia group or whatever. He's got the little buzz cut on top. But I knew him at the time as Mother Lover Jake Tucker. He was very popular in the Indies and stuff. And he saw the mask. I was getting out of the bag, and he said, "Hey, you're so and so." And I was like, "Yeah." And I got like super happy and excited. I'm like, "Yeah, I get recognized." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, Dr. Tom was talking about you at the school." And I said, "Oh, wow, really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said he's just using you of like an example of what not to do and pro wrestling and like how dumb you are to do this and that. And I was like, oh, my heart sunk. So I called Dr. Tom because he had been nice enough to give me his card. So I called him. He's, yes, I said that. But if you'd like to take off your mask and come to Tennessee, I'll train you for free every day and we'll come up with something. And I was like, yeah, all right. And I had the opportunity and I did. I was working a remote job at the time from my computer. So I, packed it up, moved to Tennessee. I'd work in the morning from like 6 to 2:30 ish, go to his school from 3 to 10. And I've never seen a school. There's so many good schools with wrestling nowadays. People have a lot of great entryways into it, but Dr. Tom is at his school like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. And he doesn't delegate anything. He doesn't, sit over there like, all right, guys, go through warm ups and kind of, no, he's like engaged for 8 hours straight. His eyes are on that ring. And Wednesdays would be all promos. The other days are wrestling and stuff. So I moved there and I'd do that. It was about 2.5 months. I was going there every single day. And we came up more with the Daisy Kill kind of persona because he just learned more about me. We would just ask questions. We'd sit down. He'd have me show me stuff I did in life, and I played in bands a lot at the time. A lot of music and touring and different things. And he eventually came around to Guns and Roses. We took Guns, made it Kill, took Roses and made it Daisy, and flipped it around. Daisy Kill.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I love
Thank you for
Guns N'
asking.
Roses
Though.
too, so it's kind of
I,
cool.
I like telling those stories because it's always easier when I get to like brag about other people who've helped out. And Dr. Tom's a really good one. I know everybody likes him. So,
I loved watching him wrestle.
yeah. Oh, that was what was fun is because like I knew who he was a bit, the Heavenly Bodies, and all that. But I remember paying more attention to his partner. Who was it? Jimmy Del Rey, right? Was it? I think his partner in the E.
I
He had a
think,
partner named when him and Cornette managed him, and his partner had more of a belly, and he would kind of do the
yeah,
gigolo little roll and stuff. But then as an adult, and being a student, going back and then getting to watch him work and everything, and from a different set of eyes, right? You're like, oh yeah, he's. And it took like probably about I was already gone and had come back. I'd never gotten to lock up with him anything. I'd come back and I see him in the ring wrestling and lying around. I said, dude, we never got to wrestle once. Because you never asked. I was like, okay. And then we finally, so I finally had to lock up with the move. And just there's something about those old heads. I say that respectfully, but like Dr. Tom and just there's such a smoothness to it. I was the same way with one of the Armstrong brothers I got to tag with, and Ricky Morton getting in there, getting to lock up with him. There's just they remind you that there's levels to it. Like I wrestle one of somebody like Trevor or something in NWA, and it's like, oh man, you get really. I don't want to say humbled because it's not like a bad feeling or anything, but you get very, I guess, inspired or impressed and inspired by it. You're like, oh wow, I can get to that. Mondo is a great person. Like I get in the ring with him, just like, oh, that's something to I want to get to that level. But then even farther, when you get with somebody like Pritchard or Ricky Morton or one of those old heads, there's so many little nuances to it, and it's really neat to get to learn it. And I don't think there's many other industries where we have opportunities to learn from the more experienced veterans and entertainers in it. We are so structured, and there's such like a fraternity sorority kind of vibe to everything, and the people that are the older people in the industry, they stay with it, they set up an infrastructure for us to come up throughout it, they support us throughout it, so it's been awesome. I've just been like overwhelmed with how cool the pro wrestling industry has been, and I've been in it like I've been going on 8 years now. I'm still
well,
each time I do it like, oh, man, it's cool. And then the fans, the podcasters, the journalists like yourselves, everybody is just like, this is just a fun world to be in. But I guess, you can make anything miserable or fun, but the people in pro wrestling make it easy to have fun. It's easy to have fun. It's easy to be in a good mood and stuff around this stuff.
yeah. And it's who you surround yourself with.
Yeah, that's true. I'm very lucky. Brian Idol got a hold of me in Florida, and I know he has a mixed reputation because he comes off very abrasively, but he has got one of the like a lot of people in wrestling. There's just so very many very giving, generous people that have helped out, and they come off a certain way, but then they'll like give a stranger the shirt off their back a lot of the time. I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen Brian or somebody like Aaron or just any of these fellas just really go out of their way to help people. And they won't talk about it. You'll hear about it from somebody else, third party, or you'll see it in real time. So it's really cool. Yeah. There's some scums, like you're saying. It's who you surround yourself with, right? But what's nice is it seems not all the time, but it seems like the higher you're able to get up, and throughout the kind of pecking order, most of the time it seems like it is the good ones that are making their way up. Not good as in wrestling, 'cause there's a million good wrestlers, but good people to be around, being professional, being accountable, and things like that. So it has a little bit of a built-in filter system. So
I'm glad you're having a good experience with it.
mhm.
Have you had very many, not to be on the downside, but have you
Mhm.
experienced very many setbacks?
I don't know. I don't know that I have really. No, and I appreciate the question. I'm sure like I could try to think of difficulties, like road bumps and things like that. But knock on any wood around, I don't think I've yet to run into anything that's really like pushed me back or felt unfair or just everything. The progression has kind of made sense, and I don't know if it's me projecting onto it, but so far, each step that I've gotten, each opportunity that I've gotten felt appropriately timed. It felt like everything's been moving at the right pace. To give myself a little bit of credit, I do listen pretty well. As for being a talker, I do know when to shut up, not ruffle too many feathers. I've only pissed off Billy 3 or 4 times. Um, and two of them I was trying to, so it was fine. I was trying to get a little rub out of them. But I don't think there's been anything major. Life has sent me a few. A big reason to reference the earlier story. A big reason I got into boxing because I had grown up doing a lot of kickboxing and wrestling in school and stuff. So I had actually done MMA for a few years after college, and I'd done really well. and it was I got in a car accident. I got T-boned. Somebody ran through a stop sign, and I was taking a left turn and T-boned right in my driver door. And I was in a wheelchair for about 7 months. I've still got pipes in my femur, and it collapsed the lung, and I've got a bunch of hardware in the left side of my body. Super lucky as far as when it happened. Where I have a very amazing family, friends, work coworkers at the time. Everybody around me, I was very well insulated, but that was one of the bigger setbacks as like an athlete and a performer. But that's what ended up somehow getting me to the world of pro wrestling, because as my hips and legs were healing, it forced me to compete in boxing for a while, which got me to that golden gloves, which got me to that weird guy grabbing my arm, Steve Oz. And I still train and I still like to fight and compete and stuff, and I plan on competing more, but it all led to wrestling and stuff. So, and a lot of the setbacks in life, I'm lucky that somebody convinced me and brainwashed me to view things this way. But most of the setbacks in life have led to where I'm at now and how I feel now. And I really like myself now. I very much, I feel a lot of pride in the decisions I make in my personal and professional life. And it's taken a long time to get there. And I don't know that I would have got that without wrestling and without those setbacks. So, to dance around your question a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we're all thankful for Steve Boz.
Yeah, do
That we
y'all?
didn't get to that day
Yeah,
yet.
I would say, have y'all ever heard of Superstar Steve Oz there in Chicago?
I've heard the name, but I've never got to watch him.
Okay, he's a handful as far as I think he's a great hand. He's very great live, entertaining and stuff. He's at his age, he's still going pretty strong in Chicago, and they'll bring him up in NWA sometimes. They'll have him do a match here or there. He was one of Latimer's title defenses when he was the world champ and everything. And a lot of folks know Steve Boz. He's actually trained a ton of people in the company. At one point, there was quite a few of us. There was Mecha Wolf was in there, Missa Kate was in there. Right now, the new young wrestlers, Jack and Eddie, that new young tag team, the Skinny Boys with the mop top, they're Steve's guys. Marche Rocket, who we known as Carnage with the mask on, he's one of Steve Oz's guys, and there's a handful of others. So he's trained. Mustafa Ali was one of his guys early on, and he's trained a lot of just about anybody of any of note that's come out of Chicago. After, I should say, after like the Colt Cabana CM Punk crew kind of stuff, anybody after them, they came through Steve Oz. So
Wow.
because he was up at this, he was kind of around the scene at the same time as all them. And you know, I think his thing is he's not the best talker in the world. Be honest, and that's all. And he also he looked better the older he got. I think he got to his best look after it was kind of that time to get any opportunities. Because like right now he looks like kind of like a not a current Triple H, but he looks like what if Triple H had kind of kept his look over the years. That's kind of what's like. Imagine if Triple H had kind of kept his hair and kept wrestling and this and that. That's what Steve Boz looks like now. So it's like he's got a great like look to him, and he can do this and that. It's just timing. Timing's weird. And in wrestling, I feel like I've had a lot of luck because so much of it is just placement, being at the right place, the right time. And nowadays, it's a lot of casting. Everybody thinks about, oh, I didn't get an audition, I didn't get a tryout, or I didn't get a match, or I didn't get this because I'm not good enough, or this person's better, or this person's that. And I have to tell a lot of folks, because I'm getting into the point where there's a lot of young guys who talk and ask and stuff, and I have to tell them all the time, this is casting, this is casting. Whenever these big companies are asking you to come in and this and that, they've got a role in mind. It's like a casting call. They're going to bring in 30 long hair blondes who are 6 foot, they're going to whittle it down. Or if they want a giant, like my tag partner Talis just told me this, told me this story years ago. Is the same way. He was in Australia playing with the Harlem Globetrotters of all people. He's got a crazy life, and he came out and did a little promo before the basketball game and did the game. And AJ Styles was there, all the way in Australia, and he said, "Hey, we're looking for big men right now. We want you to come in." And he came into NXT. They signed him, and it was like 10 7-footers. He's like, it was the weirdest thing. I've never had it in my life. He's like 10-7, and they whittled it down to one. And that's seems to be the MO for them is they'll do some more open casting, open kind of trials and stuff a lot of the time. But a lot of the time for any company, it's come down to more just like they have kind of in mind what they're looking for. It's not whether you're good or not. It's whether you fit with this idea that they had. So I try to make it my goal to be beyond that casting call. I don't want them to be like, oh, we need something to fit this role. It's like, well, I need that role to be Daisy. so that it's a casting of one. So that's what we're always trying to work on. So
Yeah. I like that because even at WWE, there's so many that they'll bring in now, like you're talking about the casting, and they'll
oh
have
yeah,
this
that's
great
what
look.
the
But it's
reason they bring me in is Brian Pillman Jr. If it wasn't for Brian Pillman Jr., I'd be up and I saw when they got rid of Dolph Ziggler and stuff and Tyler Breeze. Said, oh, they're getting rid of all their blondes.
yeah,
Maybe they start to call or something. And I see Lexus King, Pillman Jr. Saying, oh, okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
Well, but I'm glad, I'm having a lot of fun at NWA, and NWA gives us, I think, it's one of the few modern current TV companies that gives the performers a lot of autonomy. I've never been told what to say on the mic. I've never been told how to present my character. I've had suggestions, right? I've had people saying, hey, maybe try this with your look, this, that, whatever it may be. Shave that beard off your face, things like that. But for the most part, they let us kind of come out and say what we want to say, present ourselves how we want to present ourselves, kind of matches that we want to do. And I don't know that there's many TV opportunities that gives us that kind of autonomy at the moment. So I'm really happy and grateful. And I get to work for Billy Corgan. And that's pretty cool. It's like it's one of the rock stars I grew up loving to death. And that was one of the times I ticked him off too. I said, you're my second favorite musician of all time, Billy. And he goes, who's number one? And he goes, who's number one? And I was like, oh, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain. And he goes, oh, you're fired. And I was like, I walked off. But I respect the living tar out of Billy, not just as a musician. It's really cool, and I forget it, and I'll have to remind myself sometimes, to like, I'll be like, you're a huge fan of his. Like, this is cool. Like, you're just in the room, being in the room with him right now is cool. I try to remember that. And then from a wrestling side, he's very, very just well versed, steeped in wrestling knowledge. A lot of people know that he was with TNA. Prior to that, he had, I think it was not Resistance Pro, but there was it was something there in Chicago. He was running with Robert Ego Anthony. He was running an indie company in Chicago for a few years. And then prior to that, in the '90s, he was at ECW all the time. He was around their locker rooms. He was around their shows, setting up. He was learning a lot about it. And then just Billy being from Chicago, I don't, that's a wrestling town. I mean, I know there were wrestling states or wrestling this and that. I live in Florida now, and I know we're like the wrestling mecca or whatever. Not like Chicago. That when it comes to like a single town, a single market, like single county, there's just so much pro wrestling in Chicago. So many pro wrestlers, so much history of it. So Billy came up around it a lot too. And he has such a wealth of knowledge on the wrestling side that not a lot of people get to see, as well. So it's kind of neat getting to see his approach with things as well. It's because it's a unique approach as a booker. He's a one of a kind booker, whether you like him or not. So it's been cool to get to be at the NWA with everything it offers.
yeah, and just getting to see him to me,
Hmm.
an honor.
Hmm.
Just to be able to say, "Hey, Billy," and
Yeah.
respond to you.
Well, the other day he said something. We were in Philadelphia last night, and he had something. He's like, "Hey, can you take these papers over to blah blah blah?" He's like, he goes, "You're responsible. I can trust you to do this." And I said, "Billy Corgan thinks I'm responsible." Just walking away and stuff like, "Hey, dude, shaking my little butt. This is a lot of fun."
So, do you like? Obviously, you like working for Billy Corgan.
Hmm.
Obviously, um, do you work at other? Because I know some of your NWA people work at different independent circuits still. Do you ever take bookings outside of NWA?
Yeah, I do. I do. Just not a ton. I'm located in Florida right now, and being the mecca of pro wrestling has its pros and cons. Number one, the one of the big con is there's about 1 million wrestlers here in Florida. 1,000,001 who will charge a little bit less than me. So there's Florida, so there's not a ton of opportunities with the indie markets in Florida. I'll work Brian Idle's shows because I owe him a lot of personal favors. He's done a lot for me over the years, so I always work anything he asks. I'm very friendly with Coastal Championship Wrestling in Florida, run by Nelio. CCW, they run like 8 9 shows a month in Florida. I never seen nowadays. I've never seen an indie show run as frequently as CCW does in Florida. with big crowds too. They run all across southern, all the way up to Central Florida. Sometimes they'll be in Tennessee even too. So I'll go over there sometimes, especially if they're in Kissimmee or something. And I would try to stick to the territories mostly for now. I'm not reaching out and seeking bookings, but yeah, I'll still get quite a few people reaching out. And if it lines up, I always let them know my priority is with NWA, not just with the TV programming, but also the territories. I have a big hand in the territories. They're very Billy is very trusting and letting me handle a lot of his the NWA Chicago market. So I've got a lot of wrestling between the two of those. So I'll still do the indies, just not a whole lot is all.
Do you like tag team or solo wrestling better?
I love singles wrestling more than anything because I like the depth that you can get to with singles wrestling. Tag team wrestling is got the potential to be more exciting in a lot of way, and more of those spikes and dopamine spikes and things like that, and especially more of the based on the action that you're seeing. And there's still a ton of room for narratives and storytelling, but the storytelling that I get to do as a singles wrestler, the kind of emotions that I can evoke, you get more time to develop what you're doing in the ring. You're not in out doing this. You're not constantly splitting the attention. You're getting to play on a longer attention span for people, hopefully getting to evoke a little bit deeper of emotions and stuff. So I prefer the singles wrestling, but the flip side is I love Talos so much. My giant, my tag partner. That if I'm tagging with him, I'll tag with him any day of the week, anywhere in the world. And tag wrestling's neat just because you can get clever in different ways. They just present very different ways to present your story and different tools. So they're both a lot of fun. And I don't want to say stuck, but I was in that tag division for a very long time. But I like the singles a little better. Yeah.
I feel like you can do more.
Yeah, that's all. It's just you get more room, little more legs to tell the story a little bit farther. And I just I like being a little selfish, and to be an entertainer, you have to be selfish. I've always had mixed feelings about it, right? And I try to balance it, of course, never sacrifice my home life or anything like that. I have a wonderful wife and stepson and all that, and live up the road from my granddad. So I always try to be big on keeping all these home and family and friend responsibilities and things. But when it comes to entertain, when the red light's on, when the mic's in my hand or whatever, we have to be selfish. And those singles matches, it just lets you be selfish. So
So
it
you're
feels
talking
good to
about how
sorry. I've forgotten how to wrap it up, and then it popped in my head. I like being able to just take the scene for myself and control it and carry the scene. That's what's nice about singles wrestling or the vignettes or promos and things is you get to feel the weight of the scene on your shoulders, and I like that feeling. I like being able to carry the scene. I like being able to direct. I feel very confident in doing so. I feel like it's kind of like a quarterback, they want the ball in their hands kind of thing. Like when it comes to wrestling and entertaining, it's like, no, I want the mic in my hand. I want the ball. I want the camera. I'm like to be polite and everything. And the rest of the world, no, just give me my camera time.
it's like give
Feels
it to
good.
me. Yeah.
Mhm.
So now looking back, do you see any inspirations like people that you used to watch wrestle? Do you see it like coming full circle? I know Dr. Tom trained you, but
Mhm.
do you see anybody else
I
like
like the way you presented that question, which was neat. You didn't ask like who inspired me as a kid. You're like looking back now that I've been in it, do I get to view it differently? So thank you for asking it like that. Because definitely, as a kid, I like all the same wrestlers I did as a kid, but they're now in a different pecking order, right? Like as a kid, Hardy Boys, they're way up there. Hardy Boys are super cool, and everybody in DX, like I remember being in second grade, and they're like, write a paper about some of your heroes, and it was like my granddad, Brett Favre, and the Road Dog, Jesse James and DX. So I was such a DX fan growing up as a kid, and there's so many of them. But then as an adult, getting to watch back as an adult and being in the industry, still I liked these ones as a kid too. But now, William Regal, William Regal, William Regal. Then quite a handful of others like Owen Hart was amazing. 1, 2, 3 Kid, Six X Pac, whatever you call them. Believe it or not, I think Booker T is wildly underrated for his in ring work. Um, RVD, really cool. RVD, I have a special soft spot for because for being, when you think RVD, you think kind of like he's athletic, he moves, he's high flying, but then you watch, he doesn't do things that are like crazy or very risky or that take a lot of like sitting and waiting. He's not a diver or getting into position. Everything he does moves and is grounded and it's acrobatic, but it kind of makes sense in the flow of things and it doesn't cost any time. He's very efficient. So, household, the biggest thing I guess has been Bubba Ray Dudley has been a weird one. Oh, y'all lagged. Y'all still got me?
Yeah, we
I'm
got you.
just getting your level. There we go. Okay,
You're
cool,
there.
cool, cool. But Bubba Ray Dudley has been one of the more interesting kind of full circle things because I was a big fan of the Dudley Boys as a kid too. Like all the TLC matches and stuff with Edge and
Mhm.
Christian and all them. And I have not yet gotten to meet the Hardys, which is interesting because like they were my favorite at the time. We went to a house show in Lakeland, Florida. It was the first time I got to like reach out and touch a wrestler when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And there was Jeff Hardy's arm, and I remember just thinking, "Dang, he's big," and like he's not in the world of wrestling, but then like to normal people, he kind of is. Like if you stuck Jeff Hardy next to normal people, he's not small, he's not like big or anything, but it's like I had only seen him on TV in the context of everybody else thinking he's like the smaller guy. And I'm just like, oh, he's a grown ass man and stuff. But like now that I've been in the business, I've been really lucky. I got to meet Edge. He was insanely nice, very sweet. He was there with Michael Hayes. They're both super sweethearts and welcoming. I've gotten to train at Devon Dudley's place. Also very cool. He runs a strict school. I never got to meet the Hardys, and then I've gotten to meet Bubba Ray. I've actually gotten to wrestle Bubba Ray and do a few things with him. And boy, did he not like me at first. I don't know if he likes me yet, but he doesn't dislike me as much as he did. He just saw me, and Aaron Stevens shared this with me too. The look that I have for wrestling's good, but also a little bit of a curse because they all wanted to hit me immediately. Aaron's like, when I saw you from across the room, I was like, that guy looks good. But boy, he looks like an asshole, and I want to punch him in the mouth. And I was like, "That's fair. Yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that growing up. That's okay. I'll win you over." Um, and Bubba Ray was very much the same thing. He saw me, and he just did not like me. And I had done a tryout match at TNA with Big Ben Bishop. I'm sure y'all are familiar with Big Ben Bishop. Big Ben I didn't have the tryout, Big Ben did, and they told him to pick an opponent for the tryout, and he grabbed me because he knew I trained Dr. Tom. Dr. Tom's opened a lot of doors for me. And he had me do the match. The first move of the match, I don't even remember how, but he busted open the crown of my head. I'm bleeding everywhere, and I've got blonde hair, so that blood was streaking through really nice. So, and I didn't, and he wanted me to heal. So, like within the first few seconds, I'm bleeding and I'm trying to get heat on him. So I started like dropping swear words. It was stupid. I was very young in it. We weren't on TV or nothing. It was a dark match, but whatever. We did the match. I swore a little too much, and then the way they did the matches at the tryout matches at the time is the entire company would sit in the room. Every agent, every ref, every wrestler. So like Mickey James is in the room, Raven, Tommy Dreamer, their TV producers, everybody's in the room. They watch the match, and when you get done, you stand there in the ring, and they all get feedback, which is really cool. It's really super helpful, and you got to appreciate that. Everybody watching. But the flip side's a little nerve wracking. So we get done with the match, and I'm kind of like gushing blood. And they're starting to talk to us about the match. And I'm trying to pay attention and listen, and I'm listening to what they're saying. And I really, really am listening to what they're saying. I'm trying to take it to heart and everything. But I guess I didn't have the best listening face because he comes around to Bubba and he goes, you've got all these veterans in the room. You've got world champions. You've got this. You've got that. You got people giving you just countless bits of knowledge. Just priceless knowledge, but it looks like you could give a shit. It's just whoop right over your head, one ear or the other. You're just in there, there's a look on your face. And I remember just going, thank you for telling me that. I will work very hard on my listening face because I promise you I am trying to take all this in. So thanks for letting me know. It's just like, no, no, you're no, you're not. You look like an asshole. You're an asshole. And I was just like, all right. Okay, bully, right? Thanks, man. And so I didn't think anything. I was just okay. So I went and I got cleaned up, and they had the medic like clean my head up and stuff. And they came down to talk to us. And Big Ben Bishop, for whatever reason, he just left. He's like, "Oh, I got stuff to do," and he like left the building.
Wow.
I hope you're watching Big Ben because I still to this day I'm like, why'd you leave? Because they came down to talk to him because he was the one they were interested in and everything, and he wasn't there. So they're like, I guess we'll talk to you, leftovers. And it was like Raven and Dreamer and them and Rhino talking to me, and Bully comes over and he's like, "All right, you look like you can listen to them at least, you know." And then he just keeps walking. I was like, "Okay." So I kept staying around doing some things for TNA, and he would slowly like kind of haze me a little bit, you know. He's like, but each of the hazing got like less offensive hazing, and it got more like he's just felt like little tests, if you will, right? He's like kind of seeing, oh, he's not an idiot, oh, he's not a, you know, he's not a tool, okay, he's not a this. And it took a while, and it wasn't until I was in NWA, Billy's like, "Hey, I want you to come out and sing. We got Bully Ray here tonight in Chicago. I want you to sing a track. I want you to come out because I was doing the ukulele bit at the time." He's like, "I want you to sing a trash talking song about Bubba Ray." It's like, "Cool, I got plenty." You know, it's like, "I want you to say this and this. Call him a loser. Say he has no friends." I'm like, "Okay." And then Bully Ray he sees me in the locker room. He's like, "Yo, come here," and I'm come over, and he's like, "I hear you have a song about me." And I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Go ahead." I'm like, "All right." So I played the song, and then he stopped, and he goes, and he just kind of like looked at the wall for what like felt like forever, and he goes, "Okay, that'll do." I was like, "All right, straight." And he's like, "Can I see your ukulele?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he like takes the ukulele and he like knocks on the back. He's like, "Turn around." I turn around. He like kind of bops me on the back a few times with it, you know, just like, you know, tapping me. He's like, "Turn back around." I'm like, "Okay." And he like taps me on the head. He's like, "Not tonight. It stays intact tonight." And he gives me the ukulele back. And I'm like, "All right." And to me, with him saying he wasn't breaking my ukulele, I was like, I think I passed finally with Bully Ray. And then I went out and I did the bit. I went out and did the little song for him, you know, because he came out to the ring and I did the song, blah, 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 blah. And what a pro. He didn't tell me anything he was going to do. He says, "You know, I have my own song." And he recites his own little song. That he even gets the crowd to sing with them. And what a pro. And then, you know, we started our match. He rock bottomed me. That was it. One, two, three, and we were done. But so it was a long story, sorry, but it was that was the most, I guess, kind of full circle experience I got as far as like going from watching this guy on TV and imitating him, you know, like what with my brothers and all that silly stuff because I really loved the Boys and stuff. So and then getting to like piss him off, you know, to feel his wrath and then to slowly earn his, you know, at least acceptance. I'm not going to say approval, but acceptance to get to wrestle him, to get to cut promos on him to now. And it's like, oh, so it was, so that was kind of the most full experience I got was Bubba Ray, but I learned a lot from it. And there's a presence that he's got. And he kind of has this thing where he'll stare, like if he feels like he's staring through your eyeballs. And I'm trying to kind of like take that from him. There's an intensity, though he just pierces you with his excuse me.
And I was sitting here listening to you with your impersonation of him, and I was like, man, that's pretty spot on. It
Well,
was,
thank you. Yeah. You should hear my Tom Latimer.
oh, do it. I love Tom.
Oh, Tom's a brilliant boy. He's lovely. He's always nice to all the boys and everything. And his wife Kenny, she's a doll to me. But yeah, Tom, he's great. He's all like this, and we used to go on the holidays and blah blah blah. But no, Tom's wonderful. My wife and Camille, his wife, are friends. Camille has this beautiful dog, beautiful service dog that my wife loves to death, and we have a common friend in Orlando that we would go sometimes like Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners and things like that. And Tom would always be there. And he is I know he's got his past and everything, and I try to keep that in mind. But boy, has it just been 4 years of him being an absolute teddy bear to any and everybody that I've seen him around. And as you know, all the stories I hear from him and friends alike is as long as he keeps that drink out of his hand, he's a gosh darn angel. You know? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Our experiences with him have been, well, experience, I think it's been one time in the locker room, hasn't it? Just one
He's a
time.
sweetheart, right?
Yes.
So gentle and caring. He feels everything. He feels very big brotherly, especially to me. And I think in other young guys, he's very gentle, very like, "You're all good, man. Yeah, you feeling all right, brother?" You know, it's very nice.
Yeah. And very, yeah, very kind. You were, it was one of your first times being out with any of the NWA. So he was there. Who else was it? Dalton McKenzie.
Oh, Big
Because they had,
Dalton.
yeah,
Yeah, I love Big Dalton. Big Dalton's a bull. He got to brag a little bit here. They were the. Did you know him as they were the JV squad?
yes,
Yeah, I was the one who put the end to that. He was in Chicago with us at the Chicago NWA Chicago territory, and Aaron was there that day. Aaron Stevens, and he came over, and he was like, "Hey, who am I managing?" I was like, "JV Squad," and he goes, "Okay," and I said, And I turned around and said, you know what? No, they're not the JV squad anymore. And he goes, why not? I said, look at them. They are grown men. They are big. Like Jack Vaughn's, he's a tall dude, and he looks, he's a manly looking dude. And then Dalton is a bull. He is a
He's
bull of a man. I'm like, at least call them varsity. You can't call them J. I was like, they're coming out in Letterman jackets. This is silly. This is Indy. It's Bush League. And he goes, you're absolutely right. And he goes, what should they be? And I'm like, I don't know, something hard. And Aaron goes, the hard way. We can do this the easy or the hard way. And it was born that night. And they went and got new gear and a new song. And literally, like a rocket, within 3 months, they've got NWA tag gold on them. Just like that, they had, because they were at the Gazana territories a lot as, JV squad, this and that. But the second they changed that, all of a sudden, it just everything clicked, and there was just a better presentation. It was a more sincere presentation of them, I'd like to think. But yeah, sorry, you brought up Dalton, and I love him. Dalton's awesome.
yeah, he's
He
sweet.
he he, he brown noses me quite a bit, so it's kind of cool. He's always complimenting me. He's like, "Oh man, you're such a dog. You're a man. You're such a dog, man. You're great. Fucking, you're yoked, bro. You look great tonight. You're great. I tell you, I love you, Daisy. You're awesome."
We
I'm
would
just like,
watch.
I get it, dude. Yes, I'll help you out. It's okay.
Yeah, we would watch
Go
him.
on.
What was it? The Juice. Somebody called himself. I think so. The Juice. When I announced him, it was, I believe, yeah, the
The
Juice.
juice, I like that.
Juice. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I immediately thought of Luscious Lawrence when you said the juice. I think my mind was searching for a redhead for like orange juice or something. Do you know Luscious Lawrence from OVW?
Yes.
Yeah, immediately I thought of him for some reason, like the juice, and I just saw him like doing the hip swivel. I don't know why.
Oh, that would be hilarious. See Dalton do that. That'd be funny. So, are you still having your feud with Eric Smalls?
Yeah, yeah, it's 8 months and counting now. No spoilers, but we just had again another match, the dog collar match last night in Philadelphia, ECW 2300 Arena. So that was really good. Y'all have to check that out when it comes out on a Comet or Tubi. But yeah, it's still going for now. Boss likes to see that midget hit me in the pecker, I guess. I don't know. Excuse my language, but I guess some of my little jokes and stuff at Billy over the years, he's getting them back. So
So he was like, "This one's for that comment. This one's
hmm
for this comment."
hmm
Do you have any advice for up and coming wrestlers? This
yeah,
Destiny is the Neon Enigma. She's how many
yeah,
years now? 3 years. She's 3 years in.
awesome. Where have you been training with, may I ask?
I've been training in Colgrove. Bobby Blaze is the one that's been.
Oh, I know Bobby. Yeah, very good. That's awesome. The best advice I could ever give, like my cat's in the he doesn't want to get in the picture, but my cat's here. Come on, bud.
Oh,
But my biggest advice is just do your best. And I only say this if you have a good trainer, because some people don't. Unfortunately, there are predators. There are people only in this business for a personal sense of power, attention, whatever it may be. But if you have a good trainer, you have somebody you trust, which sounds like you do, and you guys know quite a few people in the industry as well, so you would have the right people to listen to. But it's try to just listen and do exactly what you're told. And the thing is, we think we're listening, we think we're doing exactly what we're told until like we hear it the 100th time and we go, oh wait, no, this is what they meant. Oh wait. So like don't like zone out when you're hearing something that you've already heard before. It took me 1,000 times hearing the same concept before it clicked in the way for me, because you have to see it in so many different contexts sometimes and try it out in real time. And number two would just be to try to do everything you can it's low hanging fruit to your how you present yourself, excuse me. um Something like the gear, something like your hair, hair and makeup before the show, the type of photos that you're getting, the type of process. Those early costs up front can really help present you in a way that separates you from the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of independent wrestlers right now. More specific to female wrestlers, if I may, Miss Neon Enigma, right?
yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. With female wrestlers, I always give a bit of because you get thrown to the wolves and into the deep end much quicker than men do. As far as you get opportunities a little quicker, and it feels good to get those opportunities sooner, but you also don't have as many of unjudged reps. You don't get as much grace as the male wrestlers do. We have a lot more chances to mess up. We have a lot more chances to hone the craft. We have a lot more opportunities and matches where we're not the sole focus of attention. Where female wrestlers, a lot of the times, they're one of two, one or three matches on the card. There's only so many matches on the card with female wrestlers. There's only so many female wrestlers in the school. So you have a lot more of that attention on you right off the bat. So your mistakes are magnified. The things that you could do better are magnified. And I think y'all have to learn with a much quicker curve, like much quicker curve. You're put feet to the fire a lot quicker. So don't be in a rush, I'd say, for a lot of time with female wrestlers, because the second the industry does get a whiff of you and does see that you can do something and work a little bit, and they start pushing it really fast. So like I'd get those reps in with Bobby Blaze, really have, feel that you're feeding beneath you, feel confident in what you're doing before deciding to run. Because a lot of female wrestlers, they get the opportunity to run really quick. And I'm not bitter or resentful in any way of that. If anything, I sympathize a lot of the time, because I'm like, man, if I had gotten like a TV tryout 8 months in, like this female wrestler did, or a year into this and that, like I wouldn't have gotten it. I would have been out. That would have been it. I would have gotten my try then and like, that's nice and go. So that's all. Listen, if you have a good coach, listen exactly as you can. What you see with the eye, the first thing people see, whether it's a picture or coming out of the curtain, do everything you can to make sure that's very clean and professional, the clean professional materials and fittings and cuts and your hair and makeup. And then number three, just don't be in a rush as a female wrestler, because the opportunities will come. You will get the opportunities. And I just want to, not that I worry about any kind of female wrestler, it's just a little part of me feels like, just feels a tiny bit unfair is all, because you're judged very quickly and very harshly, and you're held to different standards than male wrestlers, and you'll have to deal with way more creeps than we do. Oh my god, the messages I see some of y'all get. Talos, he'll get some because he's a giant, so he'll get weird feet things. I want you to step on me or this or that. But oh my goodness, what y'all got to deal with from some of these fans online, in person, everything else. It is like you got your mother, in the industry with you, and that's very helpful and stuff, because goodness gracious, it is just, yeah. I don't want to be too mean about it or anything, or down, talk down our industry, but there's no barriers to entry in pro wrestling. There's nothing keeping people out, and predators in any aspect of life, they love finding those avenues and those opportunities, so unfortunately, with pro wrestling being such a big tent and no barriers to entry, we get a lot of those creeps and predators and perverts that hide under the guise of just, I just think you got a good look, you can maybe whatever. It's just, yeah. So I feel for y'all. That's all. And the women wrestlers also go hard too, man. Like you watch female, especially NWA, you watch Natalia Markova, or Camille when she's still in the company. The Page sisters right now, they're brutal. They really go. They go hard. Natalia destroys her body, and then next day looks like just pristine little Russian Barbie doll. I'm like, I don't know how you do that. I do not know.
You wrestled how many times this weekend?
Uh,
This past week?
this past week,
Yeah.
I wrestled Wednesday, and then yesterday I wrestled twice.
Oh, that's dope. That's really cool.
She's got so many big
Yeah, I bet.
bruises. I'm like,
Mhm. Yep, they're rough, man. It's and you'll get better. The bruises will stop the longer you do it and stuff. You find your body, you start to find ways to bump a little cleaner, position yourself better, and for somehow, and it's only anecdotal. I don't know this, but every wrestler I've known over the years swears by it. Your body just kind of stops bruising in certain spots. Like with the ropes, I don't know if you recall when you first were hitting the ropes, you'd get that mark and you get the bruise right there under your back or your armpit or whatever. But then, like, after a few weeks, it just stops bruising. You're still hitting the ropes just as hard. You're still running them. You're probably hitting them harder now, and it just kind of stops. And it's the same way with bumps and front bumps and different things, or scraping your elbow or any. Is it like over time, your body, I don't know if you just get better at adjusting as you're landing on things. That's probably it. But your body just kind of gets used to it. Like I don't really feel like I wake up until I'm like done with the match now. Like I feel more ready to go after matches than I do before, just because you get out there and you get bumping a little bit and it kind of like gets your body loose, like the whatever inflammation you got going on or anything like that. It just kind of gets everything moving around. And with modern TV matches, our matches are only like 6 to 8 minutes most of the time. So for the match, I'm kind of lethargic, and I'll be warming up and everything. I'm like, I want to take a nap. Then I get back, and I'm like, all right, now I'm ready to go. Let's do that again. No, all right, I gotta wait. No, I gotta wait like another week. All right, fine, whatever. We go annoy Billy. Billy, you're bald, or whatever. Just
Going back to speaking about Billy, that's great advice.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, yeah. But speaking of Billy again, you ever get a chance to put in a good word for us? I've sent him 1,000 emails.
yeah, that he's like a cat, man. He's a cat. He doesn't, the more attention you try to give the cat, that just this, you gotta like keep him kind of at the distance and let him come over. And it was weird seeing Billy Corgan on all fours, kind of like rub himself up against my leg. But they're like, "Oh no, that means he likes you now." I'm like, "Yeah, all right." He did not do that, Billy. You did not do that. But he is a little like, it's like there's a regalness to him and everything. There's a little bit of intimidation, but once he decides he likes, and it is that way though. It is somebody else giving a good word for you. Yeah, very much all the time, because that's how it was. It's not just one either. You have to. It's like collecting a bunch of people vouching for you. It's like Brian said you're good. Dr. Tom said you're good. Now this guy said you're good. Okay, I guess he's in. It's
Yeah.
fraternal or sorority in that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like he's just some little shindy promoter either, so I get it.
That's the thing, is there's the rock star side of him too, and he's insanely busy. The fact that he is still touring all the time. He's headlining Lollapalooza next week, for instance. He's playing all over the world, and then he's got 3 children now and a wife. He's got small businesses there in Chicago that he's running. There's just a lot that he's doing all the time, and now he's got his podcast too. Yeah, he's got so much stuff going on. He's busy, but what's cool is Billy's a bit inspiring, because he's got a really good relationship with his family and everything, for being so commercially successful in music, and then now finding that success in pro wrestling as well. To get to see how he interacts with his family and how involved he is with his family and how much he involves them, how much he sets time apart for them, to see how much his kids, because you can tell a lot, seeing how kids interact around their parents and stuff, especially at that age. Like his kids right now, he's got a baby, but then the other kids, I'm not going to say their names, I almost did, but he probably wouldn't want to. But his other children, they're around that like 8 to 12 area right now, the other two or something. And to see how they react with him is just like, oh, he seems like a great dad. And his wife Chloe, whenever she's around, he seems like he puts a lot of effort into balancing everything. And what's most impressive is Billy comes off a certain way, like he's very sharp witted and sharp tongued and very strong opinioned. But I've even seen it in real time, the 3.5 years I've worked for him. He also seems very self aware, and he also always seems like he's working on those things. He still has those things, but I constantly see him making a mental effort to come across in a different way, because like just to work personally on himself. So it's cool to see somebody like that, who like gets kind of like worshipped every other day on stage, to still try to have self improvement, not commercial self improvement, but just interpersonal self improvement. That he's still working on trying to treat people around him in a good way, and things not to be misconceived. And he wanted to make sure people, are hearing the things he's saying the right way, with the right intentions, because he can be a little sharp and stuff. And it's probably why he's so good friends with Brian Idol, because Brian Idol he's got a tongue for, he's got a knife for a tongue. He speaks exactly what's on his mind, good or bad. And, I think Billy likes that, because not everybody gets to do that. A lot of people kind of have to measure what they say, and they feel like they're, always being kind of diplomatic and things. So.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. Somebody that's completely honest. I feel like there's a way that you can be completely honest and not be mean.
He hasn't figured that out yet, but yeah.
But that's a great thing too. Where to watch you next?
Yeah. Comet TV has been really cool. They've been really good to us as far as they're hosting us very well on all their programs. They're promoting us and marketing us very well. So they're always on Comet TV, which is satellite TV. So, like the bunny ears is what I used to call it when I was little. Bunny ear stations. But they have it on their website as well and on their YouTube on comettv.com. They always have the most recent episode, and they have the live episode as it premieres on Saturday. We're on Tubi now as well. The Tubi programming is really cool. They've got all the last season's episodes on demand anytime, so that's really neat. YouTube's always a big presence. Social medias, of course. So just Daisy. What's nice about Daisy Kill is there's not any other Daisy Kills. So Google it, and it's all us. So
So all your social medias there, it came
yeah,
out.
Daisy
Um,
Kill.
it's all Daisy Kill.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
there's
people
yeah,
that
so
look.
plenty of wrestling on there and other stuff, and there's some music coming out later this year. It's been really neat. I've got a full rock album coming out at the end of the year. It's been really cool to be able to send some songs to Billy and be like, hey man, what you think of this and stuff, and then him to use my real name and be like, I'm not gonna say it, but like real name. No, this is good. I'm like, oh wow, he used my Christian name. He really means it. So that's been giving me a little boost of steam as well. So yeah, just on the socials, and then there'll be music on Spotify, Amazon. There's one song on Spotify, Amazon Music, and all that now for Daisy Kill. We did as kind of like a soft roll. But yeah, the full album's coming out later this year, but most importantly, NWA Power every Saturday. Got the anniversary shows coming out in a bit from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a super awesome arena. The fans are amazing, so smart and grateful and appreciative. It was great.
I've got like 1,000 more questions I could ask you. So you think you could come back on again sometime?
I sure can. Yeah, I'm getting a little hungry now, but I've really enjoyed talking with y'all. Y'all made me feel very comfortable talking. I've had fun
Aw,
riffing. So
we've
mhm.
enjoyed it so much. I got your message accepting the request for you to have be on the podcast. I was like, oh, he answered us. I
Well,
was so excited.
Well, and you'd be surprised, like politeness and manners, like go so long, and all the interactions with you through the messages were very nice and felt considerate and stuff. And yeah, if you believe it or not, everybody doesn't approach it that way. A lot of people message you. I don't want to say the word entitled because it gets used too often these days, but kind of feels that way. It's like the way they'll kind of some of the interviewers will message you and things like you owe it to them, and I'm like. No, but y'all seem very nice and everything. And I don't remember who it was who mentioned y'all, but somebody had mentioned you in the NWA, and they had nothing but good things to say. It might have been one of the Kazanas. It might have been because I know you mentioned him
AJ.
earlier. Probably AJ. Yeah,
Aw.
AJ's funny because like he's such a teddy bear, but man, when he gets in a bad mood, like he'll start spinning in his head. He'll find something and like yeah, he can get so hot so quick, but he's a big old teddy. I love the Kazanas to death. Him and Jackson, Joe Kazana, their mom Joe's wife. They're a wonderful family. They're really good people, just for the world in general. I was going to say for wrestling, but no, they're just good people to be alive, and they're good for their community.
Yeah, yeah. We love AJ and Casey, Mr. White Lightning. Yeah, they're awesome.
Hmm.
They're awesome. Again, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate you.
Yeah,
And we'll share it out. And you all go check out NWA Power, check out Daisy Kill, check out Spotify. Daisy Kill. Go listen to his new stuff. And we're
yeah.
looking forward to seeing that new album.
Well,
Listening
thank
to it.
you, and keep watching, keep it real, and keep an eye out for Neon Envy, right?
Enigma. Neon.
Enigma. Even as I was saying it in my head, I was like, I don't feel like it's Envy, but I know it starts with an E. Neon Enigma. That's way cooler. Yeah, awesome. Well, you all have been great hosts. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. This has been Destiny and Cindy with Keep It Real Podcast here with Daisy Kill. Till next time, y'all, keep it real. Thank you.
Keep it real.